All right, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways, and here we have the weirdest little video you're going to see for the day. So, low light mode, it's kind of grainy. That's just the exposure. It's sunset, just past sunset. It is mean nautical twilight right now out here in the deep south in Florida. And I don't know, just going to do an update, trying to get my flow, my rhythm back. I'm in a parking lot, as you can hear and tell. I'm doing some waiting for someone, so this is a good time to do a video. Actually, I love parking lot videos. They're really fun. So right now, there's a war thing happening. It's a conflict. It's an aggression. It's not a declared war, but stuff is going on. Actually, in a sense, it's a declared war because the Islamic regime in Iran has been at war with the U.S. for 47 years, 48 years. And so there's at least a war on one side. And, a lot of people don't seem to understand some of the context of what's going on. I was out there before the global war on terror. I'm not a GWAT guy. I am a previous generation guy. And I actually did Red Sea blockade stuff and interdiction stuff back in the 90s, and these are bad dudes. And it's hard to explain how bad and how weird and how odd it is. I've been describing it as Taliban on steroids, which isn't actually fair to the Taliban entirely, although, look, when these dudes are in charge, there's guys who walk around to get their kicks with whips, so that they can hit women that they feel are behaving objectionably or sacrilegiously. These are religious fanatics. Everything you think that that's evil and awful and bad about the Christian nationalists or the right-wing Christians or evangelicals or conservatives or whatever it is that you have as a demon in your political sphere is actually true about these guys. Probably times 3, times 4. It's pretty bad stuff, like all around. So, not good guys. They have been funding terror all over the planet since 1979. A lot of what happened in Afghanistan, a lot of the munitions that were used against Americans, a lot of the bombs, roadside bombs in Iraq, everything were Iranian. Islamic regime, not Iranian people. This is pretty bad. And it's, I have a hard time explaining this. They believe. They are true believers. Armageddon stuff. They actually have Armageddon prophecies, and if you get a nuclear weapon, you're going to use it if you're one of these people, because it will bring about the promised Armageddon of your religion. And there's stuff in there, the whole 12th Imam thing, and it's just very complicated, but very, very sincere. They really believe, really, truly believe. And that's kind of a big deal. That's really probably the important thing to know, is they truly believe. It's hard for a lot of people in the West, especially the liberal West, to actually get their heads around this. Your idea of religious extremism is Chick-fil-A. These are way different than that, okay? It's not, people in America talk about literal genocide if you don't use the right words to describe other people, or if you use the incorrect phrasing in writing a history paper. Literal genocide. We're talking about dudes, the Islamic regime, the whatever, call them mad mullahs if you want. They really want to genocide, like kill root, tree, and branch. Everyone in certain groups. It's not just the Jewish thing either. They have entire groups. Just eliminate from the face of the earth. It's really different, and they're really bad guys. They're sincere. They're absolutely sincere. They play a role in human games, and it's absolutely like wonderful and vibrant and glorious. Everyone has infinite lifetimes, and so you're going to play these roles at times. And you don't get the games, the games of war, the games of victory. You don't get those things without these people. But it is necessary to fight them, not to accommodate them. And there's no accommodation on their side. There's only weakness. Remember, in 1979, they took power with the Marxists, the communists, and then they killed all the communists. They just murdered them. And the Islamic regime became the default, the standard. And they pretty much have been spreading their roots and playing power games in the entire region and beyond the region, Central Asia, Western Asia, even into Eastern Asia, and Africa, too. For half a century. They're not accommodating people. So if you're thinking about this whole conflict as just some sort of crazy American aggression that comes out of nowhere, it's really not. And we should have probably dealt with this in 1989, 1992, 1996. I don't know if we could have dealt with it successfully in 1983. That's what a lot of people say, but deal with it now, because it's almost too late, right? They are a year, 2 years away from having enough missiles, drones, and nuclear material to hold the world hostage. And they're not the kind of people who ransom hostages. They just end up killing them. And that means killing the world. So today, or yesterday, as I speak, the U.S. Navy attacked an Iranian frigate, which was apparently the last warship they had floating. And a lot of people are very upset about that because it was in international waters, which I'm not sure what that... I'm a Navy vet, and I don't understand what the problem is. This ship had 5 days to telegraph its intentions, to talk to people, to use a radio, or telegraph, but radio, and email, video, whatever, and talk to people, anyone, somewhere in the world, and say, hey, we're heading for a neutral port, we're going to wait this one out, we're not combatants, anything. They could have done anything. What they were doing is they were heading directly back to Iran, which has declared all civilian shipping in their sea lanes to be a target. So the Islamic regime has declared that they will attack civilian vessels when and if they are able. And so this warship was going back there, presumably to do that. So we sank it. People are very upset. The video that was released was pretty dramatic. Okay, I'm not even try to paste it in here. It was a very large explosion, and it's a very small ship. Frigates are basically the smallest blue water Navy vessel that you get. Smaller than that, you're talking about littoral ships or brown water Navy. So frigates are not very durable. They're not beefy, all right? They're not big ships. And so, when a modern munition blows up, it really, really has a huge effect on the ship. And the video was pretty dramatic. It showed the ship just being blown up, half of it up into the air, and then sinking immediately because it was blown apart. And, obviously there was secondary detonations. The magazines were not very well constructed. The whole thing just blew. All the ordnance on board blew. And it was pretty bad. And they don't have good damage control or compartmentalization or anything, because this is not a first world Navy ship or a first world Navy design. So, the damage control situation was really bad, which makes it worse. Probably half of the people who died shouldn't have died. because with proper damage control, because there would have been compartmentalization and access hatches and just ways to escape and control of damage pressure doors. It was bad, and it was really bad. Like I feel for the sailors, because that's what naval warfare is like. People make fun of the Navy a lot because we're all on ships all the time, but when ships get hit, it's very dangerous. Even in peacetime, it's dangerous. So people think that it's unfair, that we should have used a smaller weapon, or that we should have told them several times to surrender. They had 5 days to make their intentions clear, and they did. One way or another, they did. They did exactly what they were doing. We don't take apart our warheads and trim them down like a John Wick movie or MacGyver episode. That's very dangerous and very stupid. So the torpedo is the torpedo. It's not World War II. Torpedoes have gotten a lot better, and when they hit, they explode. They don't actually hit. They blow up at a predetermined distance underneath the keel to inflict maximum damage because of hydrostatic shock. And that's what it did. And it was it was a surprise even to me, and I've seen the videos of live fire testing on American derelict vessels, because we have thicker armor and better ships. And this was kind of like tinfoil in comparison, and it was an amazing, utterly amazing amount of damage. And it seems like it was overkill, but that's just, you attack or you don't attack. That's just how it is. So if you don't have the background knowledge, it looks like it was something extra, and it wasn't. It was a standard munition, just the basic thing that you do, the basic weapon. There was no like nuclear, napalm, anything weird. It was just a torpedo. And this is the problem with third tier naval architecture and construction, is and damage control. It's just not very good. But they did have plenty of time to talk, and that's one of the things that's going on with this conflict that strikes me, is that we're again dealing with people who firmly believe that if they die for their religion, it helps bring about Armageddon and their prophecies. They're really serious about this. They're not play acting, and there's a lot going on here that is very difficult to comprehend for a modern liberal Western mind. And I don't mean liberal in the liberal conservative sense. I just mean liberal in like liberal democracy. We don't tend to think of things, we don't have child mortality rates of 5, 10, 15%. We don't have starvation within living memory. We don't have very different worldviews. We don't have religion that is serious. Even the serious people aren't very serious. So that's it. This video took a weird fork, but I feel like some of the stuff needs to be explained in a context that you may not have. These are people who walk around with whips to hit women who don't look down fast enough. Crazy. Again, this is all necessary for human games to be human games, and we all choose our roles, and you choose your lifetime, and that's how it goes. But it's a significant thing with large polarity and a lot of consequences for the rest of human games. This is the world under a boot forever, And, just because the boot isn't a Western technological cyberpunk boot doesn't mean it's not a boot. It's a boot. And now the internet is coming on in Iran, and the world is about to get flooded with these celebration videos and the other videos, and it's potentially going to look a lot different now. So stay tuned. I know I will stay tuned. And I'm also going to go walk on the beach and, do all my stuff. Stay sideways. Hopefully I'll stay on topic, and we'll talk about something weirder like dog boob tomorrow.